And we're back for the final session about innovation. It's styled is the innovation show, actually, startups and startups to come. We are about to greet on stage 3 startups that actually make the disruption happen when it comes actually to streaming and VOD, to gaming, but also to storytelling and brand content. Two of those startups have been helped by incubators and accelerators. You know, it's been a huge trend over the past 2 years for media groups to have their own structure to help and get, more job, learn from startup, or even try to invest in startups. BBC, New York Times, Canal+, TF1, those groups have actually implemented that new start and get inspired by disruptors. So we'll see what disruptors have to teach us today. It's also be a session where you'll be able to enter the discussion. This time, don't go through the mobile app. We'll keep it simple. Just raise your hand, and the hostess will provide you with the mic if you do have a question for one of our startups. So, the rules of the game are pretty simple. There are 2. Each startup has 6 minutes tops to pitch their story and their new approach to this industry, and then we'll have a first chat session together. So, let's get this party started with an SVOD platform that focuses on Black content. They have reached 10,000 paid subscribers today, this very day actually, in France, and they only launched last October. AfroStream with its CEO and founder Tanguy Bacan. And Tanguy, the stage is yours for about 6 minutes.
Hi everyone, I'm Tanguy Bacan. I'm the CEO of AfroStream. AfroStream is an SVOD platform focused on Black content. So people ask, what is Black content? Because there's no white content. And the idea is to put on the same platform content from Africa, the US, Caribbean islands, UK, all that content showing Black characters. And the idea is that there's a huge Black diaspora in the States, in Europe, and in Africa, and those people are willing to see more people like them on screen in positive stories. Because think about it, when you think about Africa, the first thing you have in mind is this poor family in a village looking for water. But it's not like the unique reality of Africa. So, millions of people, I was looking for content. I'm a big fan of YouTube, big fan of Netflix and the other platforms. But when it comes to authentic stories that, looks like my own life or the life of my friends, there's nothing that I can find. So what I did is I started this company. People were so excited about it. We started on Facebook with a simple Facebook page where every day we published some trailers of movies. So we just went to YouTube, took trailers and put it on Facebook saying, AfroStream is coming soon. And people were so excited. We had thousands of followers every day. And those people were asking, why can I watch this content? Because some of the content that we acquired come from studios. We had the chance to work with Lionsgate, Warner, Sony, Viacom. But the big issue is that those people think that Black content don't travel. Shows like Empire, one of the biggest shows in the world, actually, last year, didn't perform well in Europe. And those studios and the big media, they don't know how to market Black content because, there's some cultural issues, like Asian content don't perform well in Europe. Indian content don't perform well in Europe. But in Europe, there's a big Black diaspora. It's about 20 million people. So my thought was that SVOD services it's the best way to link like your niche audience with your niche content. So the idea was to build a brand around that content and just focus on premium content. And we started. We started this summer. We built the platform. My co-founder and the CTO of AfroStream, Ludovic Bostral, worked during years at M6 Web. He was responsible of the platform M6 Replay. It's a catch-up TV platform. So within 2 months, we built from scratch a streaming service. And we launched last September, and people were crazy about the content. We had just like about 25 movies, was it. But people were so passionate about the content, they engaged a lot about the content, so we grew super fast. And the thing is, the whole industry talk about SVOD, but they forget one thing. The most important word in SVOD is demand. So my vision about this market is there's going to be like mainstream streaming services, Netflix, Amazon, eventually Hulu, and then there's going to be like the niche platforms. So there's Drama Fever. Drama Fever is focused on Korean drama. And it's a huge market. There's going to be something about Middle East and Arab content. I guess something about Bollywood. But the idea for AfroStream was not just African content, but because the black diaspora has, because of history and stuff, there's a link, there's a bond between those people. Building this premium platform made sense. So this is AfroStream, and we're growing super fast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So again, if any one of you have a question on AfroStream, just raise your hand and we'll provide you with a mic to hear you loud and clear. First question, and I know you hate that nickname, but some of my colleagues might nickname you the African Netflix.
So,
the mic's open.
So, being compared to Netflix, it's an honor. I'm like, I'm a huge fan of Netflix. But the African part of this nickname is, I think our vision is bigger than just Africa. There's 45 million African American in the US, and US, like the States, doesn't produce enough content for them. So we are after a bigger market than just Africa.
Well, actually, we're referring on the previous panel to the fact that either Facebook or Twitter might buy some rights for live streaming television. Well, actually, it happened during our discussion. Paul Gray just told me that Twitter sent an email out to just inform the whole world that they bought the rights for live streaming the NFL. Am I right, Paul?
Actually,
yeah, that's it.
Twitter post on Facebook the fact that they bought it.
Yeah, actually, that's a good one. So my question is definitely linked to live streaming. I know that, you're offering streaming on AfroStream, of course, and VOD. What about more streaming, more live streaming? And what about, those kind of platforms taking on your job?
Like, the vision for AfroStream is obviously to have feature films, documentaries, content for kids, but we think we can go even more further, offering live streaming for games. Like, esports is huge, and we think that there's a huge opportunity in Africa. Not just in Africa, because we're not just a Netflix of Africa, but Africa is a huge market and the population there is pretty young. So having live streaming for Africa makes sense for us. We think about VR. Like, think about it. People in Africa are passionate about music. And they almost no chance for a young African boy to attend to a Beyonce concert. So VR could be, a way for them to have the best experience. And because the penetration of smartphone in Africa is crazy, now VR is an option for those territories.
10,000 pay followers in what, 6 months?
So the crazy
What's the
thing
target for next year?
Now, the idea is to end this year with 50,000 paying subscribers, but it's just in France.
50,000?
Yeah.
Or 15,000?
50,000.
Oh, wow.
And
That's a huge target.
yeah, but the thing is, people are passionate, so they talk about it, and we're growing super fast because we're connected with them. We use only Facebook, Twitter to advertise our brand, and you know, like when you have content that's relevant for your audience, you don't have to do anything.
Final question, if you don't have any. Oh, we do have a question. Great. Please. Oh, we can hardly hear you, but hardly. What the number written on your mic?
7.
Mic 7. We need an open mic 7.
No, I just wondered
There you go.
how you paid for the content, which is very high quality, how you paid for it up front and how you continue to pay for it, because it's not sort of, it's, you know, big dramas and big TV series. That's not cheap.
So I eat once a month, and the rest I give them. Now, basically, we had the chance to spend 3 months in the Silicon Valley and attend to a famous incubator named Y Combinator. After that, we raised some money from great partners, so we've been able to pay upfront. The big challenge now is how can we produce fresh and new content. Like, we are looking at the Vice model, Vice Media, and we think that if we're not able to produce fiction, maybe we could produce some great documentaries about this new generation of like African American people in Europe, and there's great stories to tell, and that's a challenge. But it's impossible to start SVOD platform like AfroStream if you have less than 4 million. So yes, it's a game. It's a difficult game. You need money. So that's a great question, because the value of AfroStream is not just like the subscription; it's the data. Targeting, like, let's say, the black audience all over the world become interested for advertiser. And even if there's no advertising on AfroStream, we have newsletter, we have ways to target that audience, to learn a lot about their taste and what they want to buy. And so our business model is both subscription and like the end game would be advertising.
And we'll have to jump to the other question, but I'm just actually I would like to point out the fact that apparently AfroStream is joining the original content battle of platforms, and we'll take your question, Miss.
So yes, think about it. There's not a lot of new black content, because now you're familiar with the term black content and you can use it without. There's not a lot of black content, but there's a huge demand. So I think the major studio produce 10 titles a year, so movies and series, so it's not a lot. So the goal for AfroStream for like the next 10 to 15 years is to become the first distributor, but also the first producer of black content.
Great ambition there. Let's take a final question with you, Miss.
Hi, I think what you're doing is really awesome. I just looked at your screen and I saw a film that I production designed, Hear Me Move, and I'm like, oh my word, this is awesome work. So congratulations, it's awesome. My question is that we, as South African producers, or African producers, don't have a model of co-productions, international co-productions that work, and then we can produce shows that are, or content that is integrated, that is cross-cultured, and that is dynamic in that sense. So does AfroStream have a long viewpoint of commissioning content that can be co-produce between the international markets. That's yeah.
Thank you for your question, and I'm proud to have some South African content on AfroStream. The idea is that we have to reinvent the model. African producers and, like, in general, indie producers in the digital world have to change the game, and the way you finance your content has, like, to be reinvented. So yes, AfroStream is looking for partners to co-produce content. I know that a lot of players, even Canal Plus, they launch Studio Plus, and those people are looking for new ways to produce content. But what I heard is that for a series of 10 episodes of 10 minutes, they invest 1 million per series. So it's huge budget. So for us, as a like new player in that game, it will be like difficult to put like 1 million per show. So we have to figure out other ways, maybe like product placement, like work without unions. You know, like we have to to find ways, but we can talk afterward and find solutions.
Thank you so much. We'll have to close the first stream session for now. But if you want to meet with Tonya, of course, he will be available on the speakers room outside the auditorium. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And now we're about to move on gaming by welcoming Glory for Gamers. It's the French leading online esports competition platform, and we are going to learn, of course, more about it with Cyril Chaumette, its CEO.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cyril Chaumette. I founded Glory for Gamers 4 years ago. Glory for Gamers is actually the leading esports online platform in France. We actually have a little bit more than 300,000 users so far. And of course, we have strong international ambitions. Before getting into what we do, a few words about esports. What is esports? Esports is exactly the transposition of all that we know in terms of traditional competitions, sports competitions, I mean, to video games, and especially multiplayer video games. It starts with training, of course. People try to learn the game, learn about their teammates when they play with the team. Then they start competition, the real competition. The best of them get fans, sometimes millions of fans. And the very best of them, the professional ones, get sponsors. Today, the best esports players are real professional players, exactly like in sports, and they make money probably as much as the real sports players. A few words about the market. The market is really young, but in 2017, it will reach $1.1 billion. So the market is growing really fast. There are already about 200 million players who really play esports in the world, and this is growing really fast as well. What's really interesting for the media is that 75% of the players, of the competitors, are younger than 35. We actually know that at Glory for Gamers, the users that we have, 90% of them are under the age of 25. And let's say 98% of them are actually men. So they are really, it's a close community. What we do at Glory for Gamers is we build the technology that allows us to organize massively multiplayer competitions. So we have like, let's say 10 times Roland Garros or Wimbledon every day on the platform with hundreds or thousands of players competing in real time. And the key of the technology that we have is the live refereeing part. So it's exactly when you have a soccer game, we have a referee which is there to help you if you have a problem. This is pretty unique, actually. And when we select the best players, then we bring them sometimes, whether they are the pros or not yet the pros, we bring them to traditional sports stadiums or concert places or places like here, where we have the finals with the best players. we have specific commentators who know the game really well, and we have a broadcast. It usually goes on, for example, on Twitch or YouTube, but it can also go to the traditional media, like TF1, for example, here in France, who's interested into esports. The big finals have the ability to gather hundreds or thousands of spectators, especially in the US and in Asia, where it's already really big. Here in France, we have the chance to be the unique partner of Sony PlayStation for esports, and we build with them what we call a co-production, which is the PlayStation Plus League that you can see here. We work also with L'Équipe. L'Équipe is the French leading sports newspaper and website. And as I said before, we are working with TF1 right now and thinking about big projects. Another, of course, quite obvious way of making people talk about esports is the influencers. Especially the guys who broadcast themselves on Twitch or on YouTube. That works really well, actually. Thank you very much. If you have any question.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, indeed, if you do have a question for Cyril, just raise your hand and we'll provide you with a mic. I'm just curious about the fact that traditional, if I may, television is so much craving nowadays for esports. Do you think it's a trend, or do you think, I mean, the love story, the love affair is going to last forever?
I think it's a real trend. Actually, we know that the traditional media, find it more and more hard to reach the millennials. So as we talk to them like every day, we have the ability to help them reach this population. So I think, yeah, it's really a trend.
But when it comes to making esports a TV program, now you have legal matters, because when you take part to esports, to a competition, you are basically testing one single game, which can be sometimes a problem, especially if you broadcast on French television. How do you try to, catch up with the constraint of regular television once you've been born on the internet? Well, you have less constraint.
I'll give you the example that we had a few weeks ago. We've been organizing with L'Équipe a big soccer tournament on the best-selling soccer game in the world, which is called FIFA. Actually, FIFA the 16th. I talked to the guys at MIPTV in France, and they told me at the beginning, actually, we don't really know what's going to happen. Is the CSA in France going to tell us, please don't do it? It's the Far West. It's actually the Far West for esports. Things are going to change, of course, but it's the very beginning.
Okay, let's go for the Far West way, Far West mode. You are seeking a huge international development, and you're targeting primarily the US and Northern Europe. How is it going?
It's going to start next week. We have a major partnership with Amazon and Twitch, which is going to be set up for the North America. So we hope it's going to be really interesting and passionating for the players. Those markets are actually key for us because they help us reach millions of players who have basically the same culture as we do here in France or in Western Europe. So I think it's going to be pretty crazy.
Well, I wish you good luck with that. If you do have a question to Cyril, please raise your hand. It's your moment to rise and shine and ask a question about gaming. If you don't have a precise question right now, just bear in mind that you can meet Cyril, of course, outside the auditorium at the Speakers Lounge. So we'll call it even, and we'll move on to the final startup. Thank you so much, Cyril, and
Thank you very much.
Definitely wish you good luck for the upcoming weeks. And And now, actually, you know that cross-media strategy is the holy grail when it comes to brands, when it comes to marketing. And actually, those guys at Flamefy gets it. They're using gamification, they're using viralization, engagement, and smart data. But they're always advising their clients that a great story to tell is way better, and it's the key to drive audiences. Am I right, Cédric?
Yeah, definitely. So thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by thank our friends of TF1's incubator. They are here. Thank you, guys. And also, obviously, MIPTV to put us here. So I think you got the point during all this afternoon. It's about content. Yes. So I would like to start by remember a couple of major issues when you are content producers. The first one is usages fragmentation. What does it mean? If you're familiar now with binge viewing, vertical video, and also VR, all these new things are dragging new eyeballs everywhere. And it's very, very tough to get people now finding your content. And even if you are on the right screen at the right moment, the point is you're not alone. YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, all these people, they're producing a deluge of contents every minute. Most of the time, it's free. That's becoming complicated. Even more, some of content producers, they rely on a business model which is more and more fragile, which is advertisement. We heard some views right before with ad blockers. So based on these three major issues, this is why we have created a startup. So we are a French-Chinese startup created in 2013 called Flamefy. And we have created a software in the cloud which is doing audience activation. It's a platform. With this platform, we maximize, in fact, the content value by maximizing audience over time. What does it mean? You are going to find, and we are going to find people for you on the first screen, whatever this screen is, and we are going to follow people over time, over second and third screen, whatever the first or second screen is, a TV or not. So by doing that, we are building communities of people which are interested by something you are talking about. To do that, so we are the data guys, basically. So we use smart data. It means we analyze data coming from all channels. It can be box office data, can be social networks data, web data. All the things we can grab, we will grab it. And we will use that in real time to adapt the storytelling of your contents to people's interests. So here, this is the beauty of the story is it works with all the stakeholders of the value chain. I just put few of our current customers or partners, and all of them, they are using the tech to do news, VOD platform, fictions, series. And all of them, they say, data, that's good because it helps me to understand how I can monetize and remonetize contents over time. To picture it a bit, I have two very short business cases I will be very happy to explain longer after the discussion we may have. But this is one of our customers. This is called Spicy. Maybe you heard about them. This is a French SVOD platform. And they are producing by themselves very, very good contents in documentaries. And when they started the platform, they said, that's not an easy let's say an easy task. So what we did is we crawled the web and we were classifying people about their interest in real time. And when it fits with one of their content, meaning it fits about duration, about the kind of screen you have at that time, we make the fit. And then we drive people to the web. They can engage with the content. And after that, we play with personalization. You like this, you spent 5 minutes, maybe you will have tomorrow more 10 minutes to go back to this or something around. What we got with this strategy is 25 more subscribers than expected. So that's quite good. What is even more interesting with any subscription VOD is a low churn, meaning when people are coming up, they stay. The another one we got is, it was interesting to play with also the business model. You can subscribe or you can just buy something. Let's buy the 30 minutes first. And when you are really engaged, you go deeper with the platform and then you subscribe. It really helps to get more easier people aboard. Another example now I would like to show you is really different. Movies in theaters. You know how for indie movies it's going to be very tough to find, some theaters sometimes. When you have a big blockbusters on next Wednesday, it's hard to be on some screens. So here, the challenge was to drive people to theaters. So the drive to stores, the drive to web, we have invented the drive to theaters. And the point is very easy. We got all the box office data from 40 French cities, for example, and we mixed that with all activity on social networks, localized on the 40 French cities. And then when there is something which is not good enough in Cannes, for example, then we use all the community we have gathered to say, hey guys, this content you like is on theater, come. And you will be surprised. It looks like a bit naive, but it works like hell. So, because we are playing with community, with the fact that people like already this, and with the right incentive, they move. So what we got, 15% more tickets sold. That's quite cool. The second is we have communities very deeply identified, ready to play for the next monetization window, meaning distribution for a TV channel or for VOD or for DVD. We already know who's going to be interested to buy it or to rent it at the next step. So these two very short examples is to explain you how with data we can really extend the lifespan of a content on different screens. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's have a few questions with you, actually, Cédric, at the same time. And again, you know the rule. If you do have a question for Cyril and about storytelling, about smart data, about flame fight, just raise your hand and we'll be happy to provide you with a mic. I would like to come back to this question about data, because actually, so you've been working with so many brands, it's open. You've been working with so many brands on so many different user case that I'd like to ask you that question. Do you feel there is a cultural difference or cultural resistance into data usage? For instance, I mean, if you are working with the French media, they would first, they're the law, but then there might be some resistance while being way more focused on the data you're using on a specific audience you want to work on.
Look, at the end of the day, people are people. And what we have experimented that they do the choice. So even the broadcaster is pushing on one way or another one, people are really making the difference. Let me give you one example. We were very active in China. What we have understood from the culture is whatever you want to do and to make here, it has to rely on a minimum of gaming mechanism.
Yeah.
It has to be a bit challenging even for people. Back to France, maybe it doesn't work like this. We are a little bit more, lean back, and we like to get more explanation and then reaction. So, but at the end of the day, that's the only difference. So culture, people like to be entertained in any cases. It's not so hard here.
Another question to you, the fact that you mentioned you're Franco-Chinese startup, and of course when you're a startup, you need money, so you need investors. I was just thinking about how difficult it is right now when you're a startup targeting the media business to get investors aboard. And when you follow the money, you follow the next market. So what it wise for you to make this Chinese move when it comes to investors?
Well, let's say at the end of the day, first of all, we are half Chinese and French, so we had some connections, obviously. We spent some time in France about money, but it was quite slow, honestly. And everything in China is so much faster. So we went to a couple of people like us, meaning serial entrepreneur. They said, that's interesting. You have a different way from some others. Let's try. And it went in a short couple of months, where it took way more time in France because it's a little bit more complicated. So we got some good connections, and the fact that China is moving very, very fast and taking maybe a little bit more risk than what we see. But it's just what we experimented, don't make that general.
We opened this panel by talking about incubators, and you mentioned the fact that you are closely working with the TF1 team, which is in the room right now. What's your experience on being a media startup incubated by a traditional media group?
Look, let's say if if you're French or a bit TF1, in Paris, this is a big tower of TF1. It looks like a castle. So we are not in Game of Thrones, but anyway, you have to find the door.
Choose your family.
Yeah. So and because we don't want winter to come, so we had to find a way, and it was just a fantastic shortcut to really go to people with open-minded, the innovation direction, and also the CXO level, to explain very quickly what we can do, and after that they take it or they leave it, and fortunately we're still there, so it's good. But it's a fantastic shortcut for us and for I think the other startups in the team. It's the fact that we can experiment, we can prove our system on a so wide audience, so different kind of contents and divisions. So we usually say if we can survive to them, we can probably survive to a couple of others.
Well, survival.
Yeah.
Actually, just one question from the audience from here, and we'll have to call it even again. And again, you can meet all our speakers in the speaker lounge outside the Esterel. Please, your question.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. My name is Christoph Klotz. I'm from a startup from Germany called Wild Tulip. We are developing a hybrid app and a TV stream which is about like a donation atlas to bring charities together and private donators. And we wonder in which stage we could engage with your company, whether there is already a need for a big data available, like subscribers, or whether one could also engage with you in an early stage.
So we can work in two different cases. We work with people having already, a business with a wide audience, meaning a lot of people, and like TF1. But we also worked with beginners. So, and sometimes starting blank, what we call cold start with data, is sometimes better because you qualify that before starting with a lot of data which are not so good. So usually we used to say, come as you are. We'll see what you have. We are completed, and let's do it. In addition to that, I would like to mention that we have a specific program which is more for content producers, but we can discuss anyway, for small content producers where they just want to launch a content and they don't have so much money, where we have specific offers to really jumpstart, get data from the beginning. It will evaluate exactly your content for any distributors. So I would say just join me right the corner, and happy to talk.
Thank you so much again for your answers. Thank you so much for your questions. I guess that's all we have time for, but at the end of MIPTV session on innovation for today. And of course, again, you can meet all the speakers at the speakers lounge. It's
right
just
corner.
outside
Thank
this
you.
room. Thank you again, and we'll see each other back.